I'm back this week with 5 more of your picks, including a couple absolute legends and a rookie that some people think's gonna be a legend.
And I'm here to tell you which cards I would buy, sell, or hold.
This is The Forecast. Back with 5 more of your picks this week here on The Forecast. As always, we got a little something for everyone. We have retired players who are legends. We have guys just starting out in their professional careers and guys who might be wrapping them up soon. And of course, we cover all the sports. So it's whatever you guys suggest and whatever you guys want to hear about. Keep your suggestions coming. All you have to do is comment right here below, right on our YouTube channel. Tell me who you want to hear about on your next episode of The Forecast. Before I hop into the goods for you, though, I got to remind you, of course, that this episode of Sports Card Investor is brought to you by our good friends at eBay. Now, eBay is here for the card collector with a trick for every single trade, like advanced tools for price checking with Price Guide Beta within the eBay app, and up to 50% faster listing with Image Scan. Learn how collecting just got smarter at ebay.com/trading hub. All right, guys, so let's hop right into things. And I'm a Floridian down here in Florida. Been covering South Florida sports for a million years on local Miami sports radio, if you're not familiar with my story. And now I work for ESPN Radio nationally. And throughout the last 15 years, I've been on radio and television covering sports. What I have not spent much time talking about at all is hockey. But you know what? You guys want to hear about hockey. So let's do some ice hockey, shall we? Connor McDavid. I can talk about him because he is one of the best hockey players on planet Earth. Now, of course, the center and the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. He's considered one of the best, and for good reason. 33 goals and 105 points in just 56 games last season. And this dude has won every trophy under the sun. I mean, he won last season, he won his 3rd Art Ross trophy, his 2nd Hart Memorial, his 3rd 10 Lindsay. I mean, this dude's wall is so decorated, it looks better than mine, even with all the pretty slabs behind me. And Connor McDavid's only 24 years old, so a little accomplished in his sport, very, very young. But you're here to hear about his card, so let's do just that. We're taking a look here at his 2015 Upper Deck Young Guns base PSA 10. Pretty high pop on this card, and over the last month, this card is up about 19%. So it's not hockey season, but people in the hobby, they still know where the goods are, and at least in my opinion, the goods are on guys who are still in their early 20s who are winning every trophy under the sun. But Geoff, what do you think? Buy, sell, or hold?
Hey, I'm glad we're getting to talk a bit of hockey on this channel, and I'm excited to talk about Connor McDavid because this guy, in my opinion, is the best thing going in the game of hockey right now. He is an incredible, incredible young star. 24 years old, has already won 2 MVPs and 3 scoring titles. Are you kidding me? These are things that if you had a 24-year-old basketball player doing this, you would be absolutely amazed and his cards would be worth $1 zillion. And look, Connor McDavid's cards are worth a lot compared to a lot of other hockey players, but if you cross-compare what his cards are worth to players in other sports, they seem like an absolute steal. And the heat around hockey cards is not there to the same degree on the secondary market. The interest is not as high, and that's why. But I still think they look like a great value. I like hockey cards for the long run, and to go for an absolute star like Connor McDavid is a great place, in my opinion, to invest. His Young Guns rookie card in a PSA 10 has a population of a little over 2,100. That's a decent sized number, but it's not excessively huge, especially when you compare it to base cards of basketball rookies the last couple of years. So in my opinion, I think Connor McDavid is a buy. I like him as a long-term investment. If you're going to get into hockey cards, if you're not already, you might as well start with the hottest young player in the game. Connor McDavid, he's your guy.
So from a guy who will be a legend one day to a guy who already is one, nearing maybe the end of his career in Novak Djokovic. Let's talk some tennis. The legendary singles tennis player Of course, he's from Serbia. He's looking to win a US Open. That would give him all 4 majors in a calendar year. He'd be only the 3rd man to ever do that. He also was at one point, he may be in contention for a gold medal. That didn't pan out, where he'd be, I think it's him and Steffi Graf would have been the only tennis players ever to accomplish that goal. But still, winning all 4 majors in a calendar year is an unbelievable thing, just to add to an already legendary tennis career. I think you could argue Novak Djokovic is already the best tennis player of all time, but certainly if he does this, then there's a pretty strong argument to be made that he is, in fact, the best men's single tennis player of all time. So let's take a look here at his 2007 Ace Authentic Straight Sets Base PSA 10. I never get to talk about tennis cards on this show, so I'm excited you guys wanted to hear about this. Now, if I'm pulling Novak's card from the last year, it's down about 11% in value. Certainly the last year has been good with looking at those 4 major titles for Novak. But what do we do here with Novak Djokovic? Geoff, do we buy, do we sell, or do we hold?
Novak Djokovic is absolutely one of the GOATs in tennis. And in general, I think you can't go wrong investing in GOAT cards from any sport. Now, tennis is definitely a fringe sport. And last year, it was a little bit of a fad to hop on these fringe sports like tennis cards, and people were kind of doing it in droves, trying to find the next area of the hobby that was going to heat up. Interest in some of those fringe type of cards has cooled off some since then. But if you look at Djokovic's 2007 Ace Authentic Straight Sets card, which we've been talking about here, that's only a population of 124 in PSA 10. Some of these kind of fringe sports, the pop counts on the cards are really, really low. So in my opinion, if you want to invest in some of these alternative sports, whether it's tennis or golf or buying Tony Hawk skateboarding cards like I've done, if the pop counts are as low as they are for Djokovic's card at 124, I don't think you can go wrong with that. I think if you buy that card and you're willing to hold it for the long term, people will look back and say, this guy is one of the greatest tennis players ever to live. So why not have one of the very few of his cards that actually exist out there in population? For me, if you're willing to get into a somewhat speculative part of the hobby, somewhat a risky part of the hobby, I think it's a buy.
So from one legend maybe nearing the end of his career to another legend who has already ended his career, and now that dude is a Hall of Famer. And I, of course, am talking about Derek Jeter. Now, one of the all-time greatest New York Yankees to ever play the game, finished his career with 3,465 hits, a .310 batting average, known for that iconic backhand plays at shortstop, a 14-time All-Star, a 5-time World Series champion. He was, of course, also World Series MVP back in 2000, AL Rookie of the Year in 96, 5-time Gold Glove winner. I could go on and on about the accolades that Derek Jeter won during his baseball career, and now he's the owner of the Miami Marlins and president. So there's that. I don't think that's going on the top of his resume anytime soon, because I don't know if there's much to gloat about there, but the rest of his baseball career has been absolutely stellar. And I mentioned Hall of Famer was inducted this week. So let's take a look at Derek Jeter's 1993 Topps Base PSA 10. A high pop on this card, almost 3,000 of these in circulation. And over the last year, that card's up 22% in value. So nice steady rise in value for old Jeets. Geoff, what do we do here with one of the best to ever do it? Do we buy? Do we sell, or do we hold?
We're talking about a lot of GOATs on this show today, and right now we're talking about Derek Jeter, and I love to see it. Because like many iconic cards, Derek Jeter's cards were crazy hot at the beginning of the year. They were surging in January and February and hitting these price points that were, honestly, in retrospect, absolutely insane. And they've come down a lot since then. They had a steep drop in March and April and May and June, just like many iconic cards of all of the GOATs from all sports. However, since early in the summer, the drop has stopped. We've actually started to see some upwards movement again on many of these iconic cards, including Derek Jeter's cards over the last 60 days. In my opinion, having the GOATs in any sport is a great long-term investment. It's not necessarily a short-term flip opportunity at all. But if it's a card that you want to buy and hold on to for 5 years or 10 years or more, I think Derek Jeter is a great one to get in on. So in my opinion, Jeter is a buy right now.
So from one of the best to a guy who's, well, he's still looking to make his mark on the sport. I mean, he was a number one pick, and there certainly were really high expectations for him coming into the league, but right now things are down a little bit for Ben Simmons in terms of his reputation. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers point guard, at least for now, right? Philadelphia 76ers for now, asterisks. The trade rumors have been there all off season. Philadelphia has been reportedly shopping him around. And now Ben Simmons doesn't want to play for the 76ers and has made that clear. And that when that news broke, it felt a lot like when you know somebody's about to dump you and so you rush to dump them first to save pride, even though you weren't going to dump them if you didn't know that they weren't going to dump you kind of thing. That's what it feels like Ben Simmons and his camp are doing here with the Philadelphia 76ers, where we've known for months that Simmons is on the out in Philadelphia and that they're trying to trade him away. It's just that their asking price has been pretty astronomical for a dude who has some trouble when it comes to his shot. No trouble defensively, one of the best players in the NBA defensively, but definitely has some issues there with the shot. And then, of course, the lasting image that we have on him from the playoffs of him passing on that layup and looking scared. And none of that works well in Ben Simmons' favor. But now he's saying, you know what, though? Y'all ain't gonna dump me. I'm gonna dump you first. And what does that mean for his future in Philadelphia? Well, it means now that every other team in the NBA is on notice that Ben Simmons doesn't want to be there. We already knew Philadelphia doesn't really want him to be there. And therefore, the 76ers have to trade him. And so they might have to lower that asking price because it sounds like Ben Simmons isn't going to show up and contribute to that team. It was pretty obvious once the 76ers committed all that money to Joel Embiid, and they're obviously trying to roll forward with him. There's been rumors for years that there's been discourse in that locker room between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, although Embiid just came out the last couple weeks denying all that because that's the move. You got to blame it on the media or blame it on the fans. Normally where there's smoke, there's fire, though. And there's been a lot of smoke for a lot of years now around that 76ers locker room. So I do expect here at some point Ben Simmons will be in a different uniform, and it'll probably be good for him when that happens. Like I said, one of the best defensive players, really, really talented defensively. He's got shooting issues. Can he learn to find that shot better and create that shot? And can he play a little less scared offensively? Let's take a look at his 2016 Prism base PSA 10. Over the last 30 days, that card's up about 9% in value, actually. So, that's pretty stagnant. If I'm taking a look at his 2016 Optic base PSA 10, even a little more stagnant, down about 6%. So less movement there, even though that one's slightly down. Basically, whether those are up 9% or down 6%, anything under 10% movement really means kind of a whole lot of nothing. Basically means Ben Simmons cards over the last month here have been pretty stagnant, which I'd say is kind of a good thing considering where things have gone in terms of the rumor mill. But what do we do here, Geoff, with Ben Simmons? He's a complicated player right now. Do we buy, do we sell, or do we hold?
If you watched Ben Simmons in the playoffs last year, it is hard to get behind the concept of investing in more Ben Simmons cards. I watched him against my Atlanta Hawks, and man, did he disappear for large stretches of those games at the most important points. Being a Hawks fan, I was happy to see it. But also owning some Ben Simmons cards, which I do, I was pretty sad to see it because I'm like, what in the world is going on with this guy? And what is all the hype that has been bestowed upon this guy over the last few years? It's not there. It's not evidence in his play on the court. Now, the question becomes, would I be crazy enough to put more money into Ben Simmons cards right now? I do think there's a short-term opportunity because I do think if he leaves Philly and goes to another team, you will see his card prices rise on the news of him going to another team. We've seen this time and time again. Whenever a player leaves one team and goes to another, if they're a reasonably big name player, their cards tend to pop at that very moment. As fans from that new city, fans of that new team are wanting to buy up that player's cards, as well as investors who are taking a speculative bet on that person having a brighter future with their new team, they're buying up that person's cards as well. In my opinion, though, that's the only risk you could possibly take with Ben Simmons right now. Actually buying him as a long-term investment feels very, very shaky to me. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this guy gets it together, but I am not sold on Ben Simmons. I do own several Ben Simmons cards at the moment I am holding. I am not taking the risk of buying any more right now.
So from a young guy in the NBA who people now are kind of wavering on to a guy in the NFL, also a young guy, a rook, who people are so high on that you think he's about to go into the Hall when he hasn't even yet actually played an NFL snap in a regular season game, but he's about to. He's about to get that started. Mac Jones, he is now the quarterback of the New England Patriots. It is not Cam Newton, it is Mac Jones. And so he has won the job, and because he kind of looks a little bit like the Tom Brady part, you know, like he's kind of got that like quarterback dad bod coming out of college that Tom had a little bit, and he's the quintessential white guy pocket passer, then people seem to, I think, because he's also going to be wearing the same uniform that Tom Brady, of course, had majority of this legendary career of his in, I think people kind of assume that Mac Jones is going to be the next Tom Brady, and man, I would just caution you on expecting anybody to turn into Tom Brady. Nevertheless, Mac Jones doesn't have to turn into Tom Brady to have a very good NFL career, and people are incredibly high on this rookie. He passed for over 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions last year during his last season at Alabama, and that team was loaded. So you do have to consider that. He had weapons, including the Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver there to help him out, but Mac Jones looked very good in the preseason, and that's why he ends up winning the job over the vet in Cam Newton. So we're about to see what Mac Jones looks like here. He is the future of that New England Patriots organization. His 2021 Prism draft picks base raw is what we're looking at on this chart. And over the last 2 weeks, the hobby loves themselves some Mac Jones. That card is up 146% in value. I mentioned he played really well in the preseason. He exceeded expectations. Everyone thought Cam was going to be starting at least at the beginning of the year, even if they thought that the Patriots would then eventually be moving on to Mac Jones as the future. Very few people saw that happening week 1 of the NFL season. So high expectations for Mac Jones, high expectations in the hobby. Geoff, what do we do here? Do we buy, do we sell, or do we hold?
That was some big news about Cam Newton getting released from the Patriots and Mac Jones having the starting job heading into this season. That is great for Mac Jones collectors and investors. And I'm a believer in whoever the Patriots are going to roll out as their next big quarterback. Of course, everyone's going to draw all the comparisons between Mac Jones and a young Tom Brady. And that's great for people who own Mac Jones cards. You want those comparisons made all day long. The challenge from an investing standpoint right now is there's really not a lot of great sets out that are investment grade to buy Mac Jones cards. Really, if you're going to invest in a player, you want to wait for the key sets in their pro uniforms to come out. And those don't exist right now for Mac Jones. We don't have Prism or Optic out yet. We don't have, Immaculate or National Treasures out yet, or Select out yet. In the NFL uniforms, we have some of those sets out for college uniforms, but people want them in their NFL uniforms. So the challenge is, if you're trying to buy Mac Jones cards today, you're probably buying cards like Prism draft picks, which have gone up a lot recently, but those typically don't make the best long-term investments. In my opinion, I would just simply hold back and wait. And then if you want to invest in Mac Jones, wait till some of those better sets come out later in the year. The only danger is if he comes out red hot, then by the time those sets come out later in the year, the ones you actually want to invest in, those cards could come out of the gate really, really expensive. That is the trouble with investing in football rookies. It's the challenge that we all face.
I've been talking until I am blue on the face about Mac Jones and Cam Newton, frankly, on ESPN radio all summer. I'm glad that we know who is the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. Mac Jones is going to be fun to watch. There's some really interesting rookie quarterbacks like the Zach Wilsons of the world and the Trevor Lawrences of the world. And eventually we'll see the Justin Fields of the world as well taking over the helm in the NFL. So it should be a really exciting NFL season, football season, baby. It is upon us. And so is another episode of The Forecast next week. So let me know who you want to hear about on that. Of course, I'll be dropping that on Thursday. Just comment right here under the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any of our content here at Sports Card Investor. You hit the bell icon. It's free. It's easy. Just do it. And I'll see you guys next week. Hey, thanks for watching. And as always, happy investing.